I would start by saying like Wonder Woman was probably the most transgressive early comic that I can think of by Major, and Steve, when you want to chime in here. In terms of, if you know the history of William Wally Marston, he was a Harvard-trained classes major, psychiatrist, invented the lie detector, was also into polyamory relationships, was also into bondage and all this other stuff, and was hired by, what was his name, Admiral whatever, who's the head of National Comics, to create a character on equal footing for young women, and he incorporates all these things into this comic series that, you know, when you look, I mean, she's always tied up, and like the bracelets, everything come from his thing on bondage, and I think, for me, from a mainstream perspective, that's probably the first thing I can think of.
Well, yeah, I always wondered about that myself.
I mean, it came out of his life.
The lasso of truth.
Yeah, and he was in life, exactly. Like all these things.
More to the point, they're called the bracelets of submission.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, that would be my. I think that would be the first one I would point to in terms of a mainstream context, from what's now a mainstream publisher. Cause obviously, it wasn't owned by Warner Brothers back then, but go see the movie.
Well, I mean, so a lot of, I mean, so if you're talking about the history of sort of comics media, it was above ground with things like you're talking about with Wonder Woman, EC Comics and horror comics, which pushed the envelope